Welcome to the Google Test Automation Conference 2008. My name is Lydia Ash. I'm the chair of this year's conference. On behalf of the GTAC committee, we're excited to be hosting you in Seattle this year. All of our presenters have spent a considerable amount of time. They're all experts in their field. They've pulled together some great presentations over the next few days, and they're all engineers that are working on the space of software and quality. GTAC is a conference that Google holds each year. It is unique in that there's no fees. We just want to get a lot of people to come and talk. We pay for our speakers' costs, and every one of our attendees has to apply for their slot to be here. So we know a little bit about each of you. There's no booths. There's nothing for sale. It's just a lot of people discussing software and quality. This year we had such a huge number of applicants that we had to move it to this larger venue just to accommodate some portion of who applied. And so we're just excited to have such a great group here today. So what's going on the outside? This is a really challenging economy. And these are the business realities that each of our companies are having to deal with. Each of our organizations has to deal with these. These are just a few of the headlines I pulled from last week. Testing is an infinite activity. Even in our small applications, we have a near infinite number of code paths and an infinite number of activities that are valid to undertake. But none of our resources are infinite, and none of them are growing. So I think the question that we're all asking is, how do you do more with less? How are you going to get creative and solve problems in the cheapest way possible without degrading the quality? Hopefully, with improving the quality. These constraints will bring focus, and the scarcity will highlight the need for businesses to be competitive, not only in their quality, but in their methods to achieve quality. Companies that are able to do this will defy the economy. It might start as waste reduction, identifying tests that are unnecessary, activities that aren't contributing to quality. We'll look for optimizations that can be done, how to run tests in parallel, ways to test around the clock. Reducing the overall costs will buy us that ability to try new things, to get creative with our approaches, and to develop new innovations. So with all of that weighing on our minds, why take the time to come to a conference? Each one of us is here looking for new ideas and new ways to approach problems. Companies that adopt winning strategies will get more competitive. And individuals who invent those winning strategies will have very successful careers. Each company wants to increase their productivity, and that is certainly a focus of all of the talks here today. Test automation is one way that companies can improve quality and reduce their costs. Within Google, we've got a wider variety of software than most people realize. Just in the Seattle office, we have a miniature version of Google. We have nearly all of the Google technical focus areas represented. Projects for mobile, online productivity applications, online gaming, advertising, maps, search, indexing, they've all been worked on in that office. One thing I have learned in managing a variety of these applications is that great insights often come from solutions from other places. The problems of quality in a large-scale geodata set have a lot of insight to bring on testing a web index. You often can't predict where these ideas are going to come from, but cross-pollination and the exchange of ideas is critical to new insights. And that's really the theme for this year's GTAC, interesting approaches to difficult engineering problems. We wanted to look at a broad view of what software engineering encompasses. We wanted a conference that focuses on the technical aspects of our roles, helping everyone to find the engineering problems in their own products and solve them in an interesting way. So I want to talk for a moment about all of you. A large part of the GTAC value comes from all of our participants. We know a little bit about you. We know the value that you said you could bring today. Find the value in those around you. Introduce yourself. Talk to other people. That's a big part of what GTAC wants to bring. To help with that, we have seated each of the tables out in the lunch areas with controversial topics. This is to help you just congregate around ideas. Don't just stick with the same people you know. Find a table, find a topic, share your observations on it. Do you agree or disagree? But get to know people around different ideas. We have several hundred people here today, and it's really a great turnout. It's a great opportunity to share ideas. We have companies from A to Z. We have several search engines that are represented, and we have content companies that rely on them. We have services that book flights, and we have airlines represented. We have phones and routers, networks and devices, online worlds, banks and universities. They're all here. And the individuals in the audience are just as diverse. We have students and professors, industry luminaries, authors and developers. Each person here came to actively participate. Take the time to introduce yourself and meet some of them. So we've got a schedule lined up, and it's a one-track conference. The idea is to keep everybody together so you all have the same experience and can really discuss from different perspectives the same material. We have a Q&A session set up at the end of each. We have some microphones so we can make sure we get everybody's voice heard throughout and on tape. Breaks and lunch, again, are a great time to meet other people. We also have a connections board. That's really to help people connect with the larger audience. If you have a topic that you want to bring up with a larger audience, we're going to kick off tomorrow with a little bit of that, just helping people connect where they might not necessarily bump into somebody randomly. If you have comments or feedback, please leave that on the connections board for us. And if you don't like the topics on the tables that we provided, ignore them. Make up your own. But write on there what you did find interesting, because that's going to help us drive content in the future. Let us know what you want to talk about. Because we had to move this to a larger venue, we wanted to bring a little bit of Google in here too. So we tried to drag lava lamps and beanbag chairs in, and that just wasn't going to go. So we brought in testing on the toilet, which is something that graces our Google stalls every week. And like our offices, we have a lot of flexible spaces set up for conversations. We're inviting you, please carry on your conversations, take them out to the flexible spaces. There's whiteboards set up. Delve into topics with your fellow participants. Now, before I introduce our first speaker, are there any questions we should get to first? Great. Oh, yes.
Are there going to be any impromptu writing classes?
This year, actually, we had a lot of feedback from previous years that said, let's do more with how Google does testing. We want to hear more about how Google tests and looks at these things. But we didn't want to stack up just a whole set of presentations by Googlers. So what we did was we took the Lightning Talk series, and we set that up with Googlers, and that's going to be tonight over at the Google offices. So that will be a chance for those of you that gave us feedback and said, let's see more from Google. We're going to do that instead, so we can keep this really focused on what people in the industry are doing. No others? Great.